love this question too. How can we be better parents? And how can we grow through the parenting process? First of all, I think parenting is one of those special relationships where from the get-go, your orientation is already set up for success. And what do I mean by that? Well, our inherent tendency towards our children is one of giving pure love. And there's a sense of love that pours out of our beings, which I think parents, when they feel that, they feel it's incomparable. There's nothing like it, because it just arises within you. You just feel this love, and all you want to do is care for this precious being. And this is sets us up, I think, beautifully, because we don't really expect much from the other side. We simply want to offer our presence and our love. So I feel parenting can be incredibly fulfilling, and it's really a setup for wonderful things to unfold. What can we do to be better parents? Well, I think with a few understandings, we can actually be dramatically better parents. Firstly, parenting begins, we assume it begins at birth. But actually, I think parenting begins sooner. Parenting, I would say, begins even before the baby is in the womb. In other words, before the baby is conceived. So you might say, well, wait a minute, how could that be? Well, if you think of the baby as not just this physical being, but as infinite being, essence, then the baby you will have is already exists prior to taking birth. And you can actually have a relationship beginning then. So even the parents-to-be can, when they have the intention of having a baby, right then, that intention you can use to connect with the essence of your future baby. And the parenting begins right then. And this can be beautiful because we can see the essence to essence picture, because the baby is not yet in physical form. Naturally, you're going to relate to it as essence. And you can connect with pure love right then. And I feel that creates a momentum that can be especially beautiful, because I feel that's when it starts. So and it could be as simple as having a conversation with the baby that will eventually be your baby. And these conversations can be so full of love and connection. And extending an invitation to the essence of the baby can create a very positive container for the baby to feel the appropriateness, the rightness, and the resonance is already established right there. So this is just amazing to have that resonance. And so then the baby, of course, eventually the baby is in the womb, and now we can have incredible connection at that phase too, because the baby is not communicative, at least in the normal ways we can think of, but we have an opportunity to energetically and emotionally have a lot of connection going, because we can actually physically see the baby. If not in the outside, you can see the baby inside the womb, and there can be a lot of rich interaction. And especially as the pregnancy progresses, you could see the baby even respond to your singing, your voice, etc. It could, from inside, it could nudge and kick, and you could tell there's a response there. So this is a good foundation for the parent later on, because we learn how to develop our intuitive abilities through energies to feel into the child, rather than the child saying something and then we say, oh, okay, looks like you're hungry. We could tune in to what the baby's really feeling. So this is perfect in that stage of parenting. And then, of course, the baby arrives, and now, here it is. Here's your bundle of joy. You can touch it, feel it. And what we think of as more formal parenting begins. Now, there's so many things that could be said about different phases of the child's development. But I'll stick to the overall principles. We tend to think about the child's physical needs a lot, and we also might be fixated on how the child will be when it grows up. Is it going to grow up to be, successful, and what can we do to maximize the chances of success? And what we want to be careful about is we can get fixated on the future oftentimes. Parents oftentimes fixate on the future of the child. Really, the most precious thing about the child is this moment. And when the child is young, it's very obvious because they're bubbling with this fresh innocence, pure joy, and they are really drawing you to this moment rather than some future moment. So I think that's part of the growth for parents, to look at, if you're in touch with the present moment, you will be joyful just like your baby is. So we start feeling the joy too. And that helps us let go of our usual ways of thinking that we think will be good in some ways, but actually it's just driven by schedules and this and that. You drop all that, you get into the habit of, how do I drop this thing? Every parent has been through this. Like, the baby wakes up at 2 a.m. and needs a feeding, right? Well, you have to drop your stuff about whatever you think when you wake up at 2 in the morning, and you've got to take care of something. So this letting go-ness is very useful. And in the letting go is happening because there's something you love, something bigger than this, whatever is going on in your head. So this develops such that you can slowly but surely, as the baby develops, not fixate on the future, not fixate on college, not fixate on whatever you think is needed, but really focusing on beingness. Because sometimes parents think, what's the best thing I can do for my child? And should I take, this class or that class, learn this skill, learn music? There's so many things to learn. But I personally feel there's two things to really focus on. One is being a good model of whatever you think is a good person should be like. Instead of communicating that verbally, you actually want to continuously be demonstrating that, living that. And babies are very good at looking at you and seeing where you're at and picking up your vibration. So make sure your vibration is high, make sure you're always open, clear, available, present, and basically being. Second thing is, quality is important, but quantity is also important. So don't think that I'll be with the child for 10 high quality minutes and then, I'm really busy the rest of the day. No, let that be 10 quality hours. You want to have quantity too. So lots of good beingness, no rushing around, just hanging out and enjoying it. Don't be stuck on your role as a parent thinking, I obviously know a lot more than this 6-month-old baby. Well, don't be so sure because babies' inherent wisdom is incredible because they are truly in intuitive touch with the larger reality. And there may be lots of little things we know about the world, but in terms of deeper knowing, think about your baby as a peer. No matter what the age is, whether it's 6 months, 6 years, 16 years, whatever that age is, the baby is a peer. Look upon them as a highly respectable, wise being. And so when you relate to that, there's a natural sense of love coming from respect. And when you hang out in that space, it's very different. First of all, you don't necessarily bark out orders every 3.5 minutes for the child to do this or not do this. Of course, you got to take care of lots of little details and make sure they don't fall and so forth. But still, there can be a fundamental sense of here we are together, the parent and child, hanging out in this beautiful space and enjoying each other's presence. And okay, right now a diaper needs to be changed, fine. Right now there needs to be feeding. Right now it's time for a walk, whatever that may be, but we're always just hanging out. So I feel if you keep these things in mind, first of all, the relationship develops beautifully because there is that inherent sense of connection that you build with your child, which is so precious, which will easily last a lifetime. Because 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, when the child is an adult, they will instantly go back to that connection that you have cultivated. And that connection instantly reminds them of pure unconditional love, of what it means to be, and it helps them wherever they are in their life restore a state of wholeness. So you've given them a great gift as a parent for their whole lifetime, a true gift, which will really ensure that they're happy and fulfilled, regardless of what they're doing, where they're at. So I think that's where parenting can take us. And of course, all this will help you in your own transformation as a parent, because you're constantly letting go of something that you think is important in favor of beingness, in favor of love, in favor of being present in this moment. So all those things, I've seen so many parents, I see them at a point in time, and then I see them again 5 years later, and I'm amazed. They have developed in those 5 years because they're softer, the edges are softer, the boundaries are softer, their presence is softer, they're more humble and more patient, more kind. And that's what parenting does. And if you apply some of these things I just talked about, boy, that's going to be so much more. And isn't that what spiritual growth and transformation is all about? Being more in touch with your heart, being connected, finding this pure love. All that is built right into parenting. So I'm one of those people very excited when I see any parent, when I see any child. I feel like these potentialities exist for all of us. When you choose light, life becomes increasingly joyful, purposeful, and inspired. I invite you to join me to explore the realms of light, the infinite possibilities that light offers.